where I am at now, if like this was my goal 5-7 years ago when I started, like, so much of what I'm doing was like, man, I don't know if I'm ever going to get there. And now it just seems it's the norm.
Today we have Dakota Finch of Finch Family Farm in New York. Dakota shares about his journey, about struggles, about getting started, being somewhere he wasn't sure he could ever get to. He's opening a retail store to sell raw milk, beef, chicken, eggs, pork. So if you want to hear from someone who's doing it, but still having questions, their struggles, this is the episode for you. Welcome to the Grazing Grass Podcast, where grazers share what they've learned so you can improve. I'm your host, Cal Hardage. Graze better, live better. Calling all ranchers, if you're looking for a better way to optimize your grazing operation and rev up your bottom line, Noble Research Institute can help. Noble's team of ranch managers and researchers work together to find solutions to your challenges. They don't just give you the answers. They help you understand how to apply their research-tested and field-proven principles on your ranch. Visit noble.org and click the Find a Course button for information about online and in-person educational courses near you. Before we talk to Dakota, 10 seconds about my farm. And I'm terrible about posting on social media, but I've seen lots of other farm social media who do a much better job. But that's the highlight reel. What about their struggles? What about the questions they're trying to decide if that's the right way or the wrong way? For me, this year, it's managing the Sericea lespedeza. I actually made a video about it, but I didn't like the video. Go figure. I've got to figure out how to manage that so that I can get more grazing. I get a nice, more diverse stand of grasses there. So that's my struggle right now. As you listen to today's guest, you'll hear some about his struggles, his questions, what he's doing. But one thing throughout this, as Dakota said in the beginning, I want you to remember where you are today. There was probably a past you, a younger you, dreaming of being right here where you are. And with that, let's get started. Dakota, we want to welcome you to the Grazing Grass Podcast. To get started today, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your operation?
Dakota Finch, Finch Family Farm. We have a primarily dairy farm in upstate New York, right in the middle of the state. We milk about 40 to 50 cows. We've been doing that since 2017. Right at the end of 2017, we started. And we also just recently started a retail store. So that's new. We're just doing, we got in the raw milk. In New York, we had to get our permit for that. We do some pigs, not many. We sell beef from our cold dairy cows. And last year we started doing chickens. So we had meat birds and egg layers.
Oh, yes. So Dakota, you mentioned you all started it in 2017. What brought you to the point you wanted to start a dairy?
So I grew up on my grandfather's dairy. My dad didn't stay on the farm, but we lived in the same town, and my grandfather had conventional dairy, quote unquote pastured. We fed lots of corn silage and grain in the barn, but they were at least out on pasture. So got that little bit of experience. All through high school, I worked there, milked, did crops in the summer and whatnot. After school, I went to college for a year and then I joined the Air Force. Was there 6 years, and like halfway through that, it was trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life. And I'm always like, yeah, whatever I do, I'm gonna figure out a way to have, a couple beef cows or pigs or something. I'm gonna do a small thing on the side. And then I found, because I just didn't see the viability of dairy. And growing up,
Oh, yeah.
the conventional dairy, I had never heard of organic. I'd never heard of grass fed. This would have been, I graduated high school in 2008. And we were just kind of, I feel like we were just kind of isolated from everything. We were just kind of doing our own thing. But while I was in the Air Force, it was like, started working on nutrition, like my own nutrition. And I had my first son was born. And so I was like trying to do better for our family. And that's when we found or just started getting into what organic food was and what grass fed beef and whatnot. And so then it was like, started looking into the market that is, organic dairy and then grass fed dairy. And it's like, maybe that's financially viable and maybe that's something that I could do. So it all started from wanting to eat better. Actually, a lot of my research was, I spent some time in Korea and just on downtime looking into it on the computer and whatnot. And then looking into the market that was organic dairy. And so I decided when I left the Air Force, I was going to go to school. I went to State University of New York School, Cobleskill, and I wanted to get my bachelor's. I like to have backup options. So, if things don't work out. When I was in school, we had to do an internship. So I found an internship on a grass-fed organic dairy.
Oh, yes.
And that kind of, because a lot of the schooling, there wasn't much talk on grazing. There wasn't, it's very conventional. There was a class that was like kind of sponsored by NRCS, and so it was like grazing plans and things like that.
Yes.
So that was nice. But I found a grass-fed organic dairy. So I interned there summer of 17, and as it turned out, the owner of that farm, his sister also owned a farm, and she was kind of looking to get out. She was also grass-fed organic. And so like the timing just all worked out, and I met the right people and was very lucky in getting the funding to buy. I bought her herd of 23 cows, 23 milking, 12 yearling heifers, and 6 calves. So that's kind of where we started out. And I also rented the farm from her, bought a tractor from her, and like everything with that deal was like, it could only happen with the graciousness that she, gave to me, because otherwise I could see the vision, but how we would ever get started I don't think it would have happened if not for the help of her.
Yeah, that's a wonderful opportunity. By leaning in, learning more through a series of steps, you were able to be put in touch with this person. You were able to intern, then got the opportunity to buy cows and rent her farm. Yeah, you mentioned it's really difficult to get started. Yeah, because it's so capital intensive, especially on a dairy to get started. So,
yeah, finding, a farm that you could rent, because to buy right away just is near impossible. So to find that, and with the cows were already, the systems were already in place.
Oh yeah,
to where we could just go in and kind of take over, and everything just worked out perfect that it actually happened, and we were able to make it work.
Let's jump back to college for just a second. I think that's so smart to have that backup plan. I know when I went through school, I got my bachelor's. It's debatable whether or not I needed it at that time, because I came home and dairied with my parents. But my parents and grandparents were very adamant that I get that degree. And then a few years in, we sell the dairy. At that point, that degree became super valuable because it gave me a backup plan. So I think that was really smart of you to get that degree and have a backup plan. What did you get your degree in?
It's a Bachelor of Technology in Animal Science with a
Oh,
dairy
okay.
focus.
Oh, very
So
cool.
SUNY Cobleskill offers that Bachelor of Technology. It's similar to Bachelor of Science, but it's
Yes.
more like hands-on
Oh, okay. Yeah.
type stuff.
And to be honest, it doesn't matter. If
Yeah.
you if you have to go somewhere, you have a bachelor's. And that makes
Hmm.
a world of difference. I know when I pivoted and went into education for a number of years, having that bachelor's made that pivot so much shorter and quicker. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
And like I said, and some of the information was great that you get there, and some of it you never use. But yeah, it was nice. Like when I was initially going to the bank to try to get a loan for the cows and whatnot, you have that, and they like I think they like to see that,
Oh
and
yeah. Yeah.
it
You're not
was
just
definitely
coming off
helpful.
the street with your eyes covered. You actually were coming in with your eyes open.
Hmm.
Now, when you started doing that, was your grandfather still dairying?
Nope. So I started November of 17 is when I officially purchased the herd and started renting the farm. He had sold out in the fall, I want to say the fall of 16. I had talked to him some about, maybe we could figure out something to get cows back on the farm, and he wasn't really interested. I think it was that'd been his farm all his life, and it was a little bit of a control thing. He was probably late 70s at the time, so there was never really an opportunity to go back there.
Did you talk to him about wanting to do grass fed and organic? What was his thoughts on that?
His thoughts were that that will not work. That doesn't work. There's no
Well,
way.
that's what I figured because a lot of times, they they did it a different way and it worked for them.
Hmm.
I don't think I've talked to my grandpa about organic or grass fed dairy, but I'm sure he would say I was crazy because he
Yeah.
conventionally dairied for years. And like you said, he dairied in a very pasture based program. The cows were on pasture every day, but not much management of the pasture. They were fed concentrate in the barn. And here in our area, I say not too many people, at least the size we were and he was, we didn't feed silage. But yeah, it's just a different shift, different way to think about it. So you got that opportunity to intern on that farm. Let's talk about what the farm looked like then when you had that opportunity to intern and was gaining that experience. I think you've already mentioned in New York, central New York. For our listeners, what's that look like there?
Central New York, very, very rolling hills, grazing season, like May, first week of May, you're lucky to, that'd be a good year to, I like to get it to the end of October
Oh
is
yeah.
that's the grazing season. Um,
Do you have a lot of farming going on in the area, or is it mainly pasture-based livestock production?
so it's kind of a mix. We have
Oh yeah.
big dairies that are doing their cropping. So not necessarily there's not many people who are like solely doing crops. It's mostly dairy so
Oh
everything
okay.
goes to dairy. We got like right here where we are, we're, competing for land with big dairies, Amish, and then we have a decent amount of organic dairies, grazing
Oh
based
okay.
dairies right here in the area.
Yes. So the idea isn't completely new to the area. It's just
No.
there's lots of other industries there too.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned your grazing season. What are we looking at for winter lows and summer highs?
Winter, this has been the most cold winter we've had
Oh yes.
since I've started farming. It's been a lot of it's ups and downs. Things freeze up, we get snow, then it melts off, and we got mud. This
Yeah.
year has really been a consistently cold. We just kind of got out of it maybe 3, 4 days ago. It started. Now we're getting mid 30s during the day, and upper 20s at night type deal. So
No.
coldest we get -20 with the wind. That's not very often. This year it was a couple more times than normal, but typical, like I said, winter is up and down, and right around that 30 mark is where I think it averages out.
Oh, yeah.
And then the summer, definitely like July, August, it gets dry and you might see 90s. There's so much variation to it, right? So you have it.
Oh, there is. Year to year, month to month. It seems like we're getting more extremes than we used to. It's just crazy. We've had a really warm spring outside of a couple weeks that was really cold, you know?
And like just looking at the past year, the spring was very wet. Then we got really dry during the summer. And then this winter has been colder than normal. So it's like, it goes for, like you said, it's extreme. It goes from one extreme to another.
Oh,
And
yeah. With your land there, when you went to intern, are they using improved pastures? What kind of forage is out in the pasture?
so the internship was on we were milking like 120 cows at that farm.
Oh, okay.
And they were a lot of improved pastures and a lot of improvements in the hay crop too. And then since I've started on the first farm that I rented, that was like grazing only. I didn't do any hay. I didn't make hay. Just didn't have that was very tough to find land. The big dairies were taking most of
Oh,
it.
yes.
But so I was buying all my feed. That was 2 years on the rented farm, and I purchased all feed there. We did have a custom guy come in, and I think we had a little extra in a pasture one spring, so we got some hay that way. But mostly it was purchasing feed. And then when we bought this, I was doing custom and purchasing for 2 years, and then I bought hay equipment and started renting more ground.
Oh, yes.
And here, all my pastures are just it's native grasses. We haven't done any seeding, so native grasses. Hay fields are the same. We're just trying to. In a lot of the hay fields were the fields that nobody else wanted. Like I said,
yeah.
we have the big dairies that they're going to take the fields that they want, and they're going to pay more than I can. And so I have a lot of fields that I don't pay rent on. They're just happy to see somebody cut them and keep them trimmed down. So it's all native. I hope to get into doing some seeding, and the big thing is we need to get more fertility out on it.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't been able to even get the manure that I'm creating out onto the fields. So I'm slowly working on getting better at that.
It's a journey, Dakota. That it just takes a while to get there. One thing you mentioned there is something I hear so often. When you are getting started, you got to find what's your unfair advantage or your unique edge, and you're able to utilize some of those marginal pastures or smaller acreage that the big guys don't want. So that's really a great idea to lean into that unique edge there to be able to do that
Yeah.
and get more. I assume when you interned, they were rotating animals, and that was maybe your first introduction to managing grass?
Yeah, definitely. And they were, it was milking twice a day. So it was 12 hours on a paddock, and then it's move the poly wire and go to the next paddock. So that was definitely the first that I had managed in that way. Because like I said, growing up, we had a day pasture and a night pasture. And
That's us, and that was the name of the pastures. We had the day pasture and the night pasture.
yeah.
Till I started trying to do rotating, and I was still trying to do it within that confines of the day pasture and night pasture. It just makes me laugh because that's so common. My grandparents, they had a day pasture and a night pasture.
Yeah. Yeah. And I always try to think about that. I was like, I don't know how much more that's doing for you than just having one.
Yeah, I don't know. I really think for both of the cases with my grandparents' farm and our case, The night pasture was smaller and easier to get the cattle in during the night,
Mm.
because when you're out there at 4 a.m., in both cases, the night pasture was about a third or a fourth of the size of the day pasture, so that it was quite easy to get them in to the
Yeah.
lot to get milking. So that
Yeah,
made
that's
it
definitely the
two.
way ours was too. The night pasture was smaller, but is like now being 100% grass fed, like there was no problem getting cows in when you're feeding in the barn like we were,
Oh
because
yeah,
they were at the gate waiting for you. They knew.
they wanted
Uh,
that grain. Yeah.
yeah, I guess sometimes in the mornings you would have to go get them up. They're probably laying down, but so yeah, you're right. The night pasture was smaller, and maybe I didn't set them up and I didn't ask, so that's probably why.
I do have a story on night pasture when I was dairying here. I get up and I'd make my coffee. I'd usually grab a bite to eat something really quick and go out there. One morning, I'm headed out and I'm in the pickup to drive them in that morning rather than walking. And I have my coffee cup there and I hit a bump. I spill coffee, hot coffee, all over me. So I'm out in the pasture at 4 in the morning with my pants pulled down to my ankles because I just spilled hot coffee all over me. Good thing it was dark.
Yeah, and but now, like I said, they would be at the gate waiting a lot of times, and now it's like they'd rather be out in the pasture than. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
you got to, especially at times, we have a creek that runs through the property. At times we're watering them with that, and it's right down by the barn, so they'll come
Oh,
down just in the. It seems like sometimes it's perfect timing, and sometimes they're off. But if there's water in the field, you're definitely gonna have to go get them and push them in,
oh
because
yeah.
they'd rather be out there than in the barn. And we're milking in an old tie stall barn, so it's not we don't have a bunch of ventilation or things like that where they would
Oh yeah.
really want to come down and be in the barn. So
With you rented that property into what you're using now. Are you still doing that kind of management, 12 hours on a paddock and then bring them in? Are you milking twice a day?
yeah, so where we rented, it was definitely almost always 12 hours. Here we've kind of played with it. I've tried once a day, especially like June, like mid-May to mid-July, when we're doing first cutting hay and we just have a lot to do out in
Oh,
the
a lot
field. We've
going
tried
on.
once a day. We've tried. There's a milking schedule. I want to say it's called 10 and 14,
Oh
where you
yeah.
milk 10 times in 10 and 7.
When you said 10 and 14, I thought rather than 12-hour 2 day milking, you're doing a milking 10 hours later, you milk again, then 14 hours. But you're not talking about that. You're talking about the number of milkings
Yeah,
in a
this
number of
was
days.
like you milk twice this day. It's been so. It was just last summer that I did it, but I haven't thought about it in a while.
Oh, yeah.
But it was like you milk twice this day. The next day is once, but then it's not quite like 18-hour shifts, because on Saturday, like you can set whatever days, but we did Saturday and Sunday. We're both once a day, but the
Oh,
timing was moved. So it's milking 10 times in the 7-day period. You're 4 less milkings,
oh,
whereas
yeah.
once a day would be 7, milking 7 times a week. This was milking 10 times a week.
That
And
is interesting, Dakota. I've never heard of that system. I just did a Google search for it and it says 10 and 7 milking system. Talks about reducing labor and you're milking 10 times in a week. They're typically now this is a summary from Google, so you can tell me if yours differed. Milking twice a day on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, once a day on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. Oh, interesting. It says it results in only 1 to 2% less milk yield when adopted later in the lactation, and or approximately 5% decrease for the full lactation. Oh,
yeah,
interesting system that I hadn't heard of before.
yeah, I think it's better, like, because you can do 18-hour shifts, right? People do
Oh
that.
yeah.
But every week you're switching what days there's 2 milkings or 1 milking
Oh, okay.
with 18 hours. So like this week it would be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but next week it's going to be Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So with
Oh,
this,
okay.
the 10 and 7, you're able to keep your schedule every week. And that worked out nice. I coach my kids' baseball and soccer teams and stuff throughout the spring and summer. So it was nice to have the same schedule every week. And so, but to get back to your question of the 12 hours, we've primarily done 24-hour
Oh, yeah.
on this farm, kind of mostly labor savings.
Hmm.
So it's one day, you know, even if we're milking twice a day, push them in the barn and they just go back out to that pasture. Labor savings, you got to draw the line somewhere, I guess. Last fall, we got the Gallagher E Shepherd collars.
Oh,
So
okay.
we only were able to use them for a couple months, but that was a real game changer as far as our moves. So we started doing 12-hour shifts, 12-hour grazing shifts at
Were
that
you
point.
able to? Did that affect your production that late in their production cycle, or late in summer?
I don't think so. I
Yeah.
it's always I always have a hard time with like milk production. Is that what you're asking?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I always have a hard time because we're pretty heavy fall calving. Like,
Oh, okay. That's a
I,
question I had for later. Was when you calved, I just made the assumption you were mainly spring calving.
no, when I bought the initial herd of 23 cows, um, she was actually she was managing them fall seasonal, and she was drying the whole herd off, not milking for, I want to say it was July and August. And
Oh, okay.
when I took over, so that's what I took over. Everybody was fresh when I bought them and started milking in November. Being my first year, and I wasn't. We were trying to AI breed because that's the way she did it. So I was kind of trying to keep the similar management. My heat detection wasn't great, and but I would call, have have them come out in AI cows, and didn't take long to realize that, well, I didn't get them in a small enough window to actually take the 2 months off, and
Oh, yeah.
probably financially I wouldn't have been able to do it either. That for just getting started, I needed to have income the whole year round.
I love the seasonal aspect that if you are able to kev them all out in a short period of time in a window and then dry everything off, it gives you a break because dairying doesn't give you much break. But
Yeah,
you identify a real tension there. You got to have income, so you've got to make enough and get ahead far enough that you can take that break, or you've got to continue going through. And dairy cows are not known to be the most fertile to breed back when they're producing good.
hmm
So that becomes another issue to keep them within that window. So yeah, there's some tension there, and you have to
and
choose what works for you.
and with the fall seasonal. So the reason for fall seasonal is because of our milk market. They There's a lot of people that are spring seasonal, and so they have a lot they at the time they had a lot of extra milk May, June, and they were really didn't have enough in January, December, February.
Oh
So the
yes,
idea is to fall seasonal, milk heavy in the winter, and we're actually our milk the milk company pays us more in the winter because of they're trying to balance out what they how much milk they need. So they were paying us
oh
more,
yeah,
and so that's the reason for the fall seasonal. But that's great. But the reason for spring seasonal, right, is because they're out on pasture and they're making more milk. So
right.
throughout the year, they've made more milk, and you have to have really good high quality hay for those cows that are calving in the fall to really make the milk production in the winter. So that's a challenge. And then, like you said, trying to get them bred back within a couple months after they calve, so that they're back on the right timeline. it's it's a challenge.
Oh,
And
yeah.
when I was renting that farm, and I was buying hay, really good high quality hay, and had a neighbor that was helping out. Like I was buying hay from him for under what it was valued at, but he was just happy to make hay and sell it, and so that was a big help too to get started. And then here it's even more difficult making hay on ground that just nobody else wanted. So and I haven't, like I said before, I haven't got the fertility out on it, and I haven't reseeded it or anything. So I don't know. I always bounce around, should I even be making hay? I'm not a big fan of tractor work, and I'm always between, should I get somebody custom to do it? Should I just buy hay, because maybe it costs double to buy it than what I can make it for. But I was also making a lot more milk when I was buying hay on the rented
Oh,
farm,
yeah.
because that the quality's better. But
Better
then
quality hay, of
you
course.
don't know if unless you have a deal with somebody and you can pre-buy it all before winter is here. There, I I juggle it in my mind, like what's better, like the stress of making the hay in the summer, or the stress of you get to winter and you don't know if you have the feed,
Oh,
and you
yeah.
don't, like, this winter everybody's really tight on feed. Organic hay is hard to come by, and so this would be, but I know I have enough. It's not the quality that I'd like to have, but I know I have the quantity to feed them until grass gets here.
Now, you mentioned something there that I really hadn't thought about. Having organic grass fed dairy doesn't mean you can just go buy any hay. You've got to make sure you're buying hay that's organic. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, yeah. It has to be organic, and the price is quite a bit more than
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
traditional. So
If you can label it something different, it increases the price.
yeah, and we have there's a lot of organic dairies here in New York, and there's quite a few guys that are making organic hay. But like last summer, it was really wet, and then it got really dry. So if they got their first cutting made in decent time, it's good quality. But then there wasn't much second cutting because it was so dry, and there was even less third cutting, of course. And for me, my fields, I got a good quantity on the first cutting, mostly because I'm slow, and it's so hay making hay is primarily, I mean, I'm the only one that does it. The last 2 years has been really nice. My dad has come up and helped me for the
Oh, yes.
month of June, and then this past year it went into July, and so that was really a help. That gets it done quicker, because
Yes.
I like I said, I don't have any hired help. So, and to make quality hay, it goes back to that juggle, right? To make quality hay, you got to get it done. And
Right.
yeah, I might have some that I got done last week of May, but then I didn't finish first cut until mid July, and it's like, well, that stuff doesn't. There's no quality to it, and with the grass fed cattle and feeding them hay that late, I feel like conventional dairy, you're like, oh, we can feed that to the heifers or the dry cows,
Oh,
but
yeah.
with the grass fed, I feel like you still need to be giving them, especially the heifers. They need really high quality stuff, or else they'll drop off. And so it's like, what do you do with that late stuff? But you had to get it off. You had to get it off the field so that it hopefully grows something for a second cutting. And I don't know. Like I said, tractor work is not my thing. I'm not. It's not fun to me. So I always I'd like to go back to buying hay, and that idea of bringing in someone else's fertility too is,
Oh, yes.
I like that. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Well, sometimes it just takes time. You know, What it sounds like to me, you're one relationship away from being able to do it. You've got to get that relationship with the right person that producing that hay that you can buy and get in. And those things don't happen overnight. So you're on a journey, and I'm sure you'll get it figured out. At Redmond, we know that you thrive when your animals do. That's why it's essential to fill the gaps in your herd's nutrition with the minerals that they need. Made by nature, our ancient mineral salt and conditioner clay are the catalyst in optimizing the nutrients your animals get from their forage. Unaltered and unrefined, our minerals have the natural balance and proportion that your animals prefer. This gives your herd the ability to naturally regulate their mineral consumption as they graze. Our minerals won't just help you improve the health of your animals, but will also help you naturally build soil fertility so you can grow more nutrient-dense pasture year after year. Nourish your animals, your soil, and your life with Redmond. Learn more at redmondagriculture.com. When you say high-quality forage, are you talking alfalfa, or is it more of a pasture mix that's there?
More clover grass mix.
Oh, okay, a legume
would be ideal. And then a lot of people are doing sorghum Sudan.
Oh, yeah.
When I interned, we did sorghum Sudan and chopped it and put it in a silo upright. That'd be nice to get that energy from the sorghum Sudan, but also have good high quality clover. Like I said, all my stuff is just native, and I think just as much about the species is like timing. Like I said, if no matter what the species is, if you could get it all in that last week of May and just
it's very vegetative, growing good right then, high quality. Yeah. Now, being organic, grass fed, can you feed silage?
So yeah, silage. You can feed silage.
Oh,
so
okay.
Like all of my, when I say hay, it's all baleage.
Oh, okay. So it's baleage
wrap.
what you're feeding.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad we clarified that. I mean, in my area, very few people make any baleage or any silage.
Yeah. So we, as far as what I make, I don't make any dry hay unless it just happened to get way too dry. Everything goes in the wrapper, regardless of its moisture.
Anyway. Oh, okay. Let's talk about your cows just a little bit, and we'll probably come back to some of this about your baleage and feeding your cows. When you bought those first 23 and those yearlings and calves, what breed were they?
So yeah, that initial herd was kind of a little bit of everything in crossbreeds, except for Holstein. I don't think there was any Holstein in any of the cows I initially purchased, but all different breeds. And then she was primarily using Jersey sires.
U.S. sires or grass-fed sires?
Mostly U.S. from Select.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But the herd they'd been grass-fed for a while. And so I think that, those genetics from the grass-fed mother, and then if you put just your conventional kind of Jersey, I think they still do well for the most part. And I have pretty well stuck with that. Like I said, when we were renting, we were AIing, and I used all Jersey from Select. And, I was wanting pulled just so I didn't have to dehorn.
Oh, yeah.
I've always done A2 just in case the market comes. And
are you paid a premium for A2 right now, or is it even tested through your milk company?
No, the milk company that I'm with, we're not A2.
Oh, okay.
But there are opportunities here in central New York now to ship to A2 and get that premium. So it has kind of come to fruition, and it's been a good thing. But then when we moved here, it was, kind of a time thing. I ended up getting a bull. I got an Ashier bull. And I had actually kept a lineback Jersey cross bull out of one of our cows. But the Ashier did most of the work. We have a couple of linebacks, but the Ashier definitely did most of the work. And that was, I want to say 2 or 3 years. So we had the bulls, and then I decided, okay, now we're settled in. We kind of got the process here at the new farm. We went back to AI, and I pretty much still say the same in jerseys. Company called Triple Hill Sires,
Oh yeah.
but Jersey, I did buy a Holstein, I mean, the best is breeding decision I ever made financially was I bought a Black Angus bull 3 years ago, and it timed out just right to where we caught this black calf
Oh
market.
yeah.
So financially, best decision I've ever made was to buy him. And it probably influenced me, and I probably bred a few too many cows to that Black Angus, because I basically, when I had him, I was giving the cows 2 months, kind of trying to keep that pretty fall seasonal window. I said, okay, you get 2 months. I'm going to try to AI you. If you don't catch, putting the bull in,
Oh yeah.
and he's going to take care of the rest of the herd. And then the Angus would be with the heifers as well. So we got quite a few calves out of him.
As you continue forward, you mentioned Ayrshire, you mentioned your lineback Jersey, you mentioned the Angus. Is the Ayrshire and the lineback Jersey, is that your current bulls you're using?
So now we're back to AI.
Oh,
So
back to AI.
we're doing this year. I bought some sires from Select, all jerseys. Like I said, pulled A2, and I also started using the AAA Weeks mating system.
I'm not familiar with that. Oh, no, actually I am. Triple A is what you said, correct?
Right.
I've always seen those codes for bulls and knew you could get your cows coded and then you use it for breeding seasons. We never used it.
Yeah, so I started using that, and I'm not an expert in it at all. The evaluator comes out, and I pay close attention to what he's saying, but he gives me the numbers, and I try to match them up to a sire best I can without buying 50 different sires. But
Right, yeah.
so, and I believe in the system, and I think it's gonna help get us a better cow. So
Yeah.
we look at those numbers, and then I don't get too much deeper into the bull evaluation.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean,
And then
pulled isn't a must, but it's definitely nice. And
it's really nice, yeah.
yeah, it's dehorning is not a fun job, and I in the past I've missed some, so we do have some horned cows, and in the past we've had the vet take some off of adult cows, and that's a mess. And
Mm-hmm.
so definitely like to prefer pulled, and there's a lot more pulled sires out there even now than when I first started. So
Oh yeah, I know when we were AIing in the 90s, there was only one or two polled bulls available, and at that time there wasn't as much production behind them. I think in jerseys, polled was a little bit more advanced than Holsteins, but we were breeding Holsteins.
yeah, and we have I since that first initial herd, I did purchase some cows from Sale Barn and from another farmer, and they were primarily Holstein, and so we do have some Holstein in the herd now. And then I did breed last year with a Holstein, and that was my first time breeding with sex semen. So we got some heifers out of that one. And this year I bought all the semen I bought was sexed. So the plan is to get some nice looking heifers and then breed. I have Angus semen as well, and then I just started borrowing a white face bull for the
Oh, okay.
for the heifers primarily,
Oh yeah.
and then maybe a little cleanup duty. But
Yeah, with the market, I think if I was AIing, I'd want to use that sex semen to get the heifers out of the cows I wanted, enough heifers, and then everything else to beef to take advantage of this current market. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like just in this breeding season, which was is like I said, typically it'd be nice if it was December and January, but it all gets stretched out. And even now, like we have 16 cows that are due in the next month or two here, so we're kind of pretty well stretched out. We're calving September to April timeframe.
Oh yeah.
Really nothing lagging so deep into the summer, but we're kind of that, which I don't like calving in January and February, but we do have a nice stall now where big stall where we're putting them in. And like I said, we had one this morning, and I went to the barn and she had it, and the calf was standing and drinking. So that it's
That, that's always nice.
yeah, and it's much better than them having it outside and the calf gets cold, and because we've had issues with that before. So
Oh yeah. And you're milking in a tie barn. Are you during winter? Are your cows kept in the tie barn, or are they still getting some pasture time?
so they always have time outside because
Oh, okay.
organic requirement, and
Oh, okay.
I like it. This year the milking cows they're in, I might go up there at probably about 4 in the afternoon, and then they'll be in until I'm done in the morning, 7, 8 o'clock, and that depends on the weather. The biggest thing is keeping the water going in the tie stall, and if I let them out when it's really cold, everything's going to freeze up.
Oh,
So
yes.
like we had a couple of cold stints where they stayed in for like 3 days, and not only milk cows but also brought in the dry cows. We have 48 stalls, and we want to fill them all, and we have a couple empty box stalls that we brought animals into just to try to keep the barn warm, try to keep them warm. But primarily, if like a day like today, as soon as I was done milking, I let them out, and it when I let them out, I've tried a little bit of everything. Last year, I thought the answer was to get it's like a hay feeder wagon, with,
Oh, yeah.
and I tried that, and it's just mud, mud, mud,
Yeah,
mud.
that's the big
And then
issue.
I've done a lot of bale grazing, or taking a field and just lots and lots of hay in the same place, almost like a outdoor bedded pack
Oh, yeah.
situation type thing, but like I said, it's always the mud that if the ground would stay frozen, it's like concrete out there all the time. It's easy. They stay clean. They're not trouncing through the mud. And I feed in the barn, during the day while they're out, and then they come in so they have enough to get them through to the morning. And we're also supplementing with molasses, primarily only in the non-grazing season.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
we're giving them just a little splash of molasses on their hay for the milkers. And yeah, as long as it's warm enough, say it doesn't get below 15 at night, the dry cows are outside all the time. We don't have housing. We have the tie stall barn, and that's about it for our housing. So we built a small lean-to for our breeding age heifers, so they're in there and have access to outdoors. The organic rule, they all have to have access,
Oh,
um,
yeah.
to the outdoors. So
With your milking system, are you milking with a bucket milker, or you have pipeline all through your tie stall?
it's pipeline.
Oh, okay. Okay. And you're selling to a milk company,
Yep. Yep. So
which,
we ship to Maple Hill Creamery. We have the whole time since we started milking. That was who, when I bought the cows, that was who she was shipping to, and we were able to get in with them as well. So Yep, Maple Hill Creamery. And then just this past year, we it's always really been because I never thought that I would be able to do dairy full time. It wasn't necessarily my goal to be there because I didn't think I could, even with grass fed organic, I didn't think I could buy a farm and buy the cows and buy the equipment. So I always thought, well, I'll have like 2 cows and I'll sell raw milk.
Oh yeah.
And I'm almost, I feel like maybe a little more passionate about the milk than I am the cows. Like, I just love the product that is
Oh
the
yes.
milk that comes out of them. And so we finally decided we're gonna figure out the raw milk sales. It's very restricted here in New York, so
Yes.
we have to get licensed through the state. And the big restriction is we can only sell on farm.
Hmm.
So we have to get people out to the farm to buy it. But we decided last year we're gonna go ahead and do it, and we're gonna start a small farm store, and we're gonna have the raw milk, the beef, the pork, the chicken, the eggs, and then hopefully eventually also branch out and see if neighbors want to sell honey and maple syrup and
Oh yeah.
just to have a little bit of everything. So the raw milk sales has been, I think it's at a pace that's manageable. We probably only average, so like I said, we have 48 milking cows between dry cows and milkers, and we're milking like 30 right now. We probably sell one cow's worth through the raw milk sales at this point.
Oh okay. Yeah.
So it's nice. It's nice to have that. You have the milk company that comes every other day to pick the milk up, and you don't have to bottle it and or potentially feed it to pigs or calves. And so it's been nice to be able to ease into it and not have to rely on it. The goal is to eventually, I'd like to milk like 20 cows. And if I could sell it all as raw milk, I think
Oh yeah.
that's kind of the sweet spot where we want to be. That's the goal.
Yeah. But that milk company does give you that flexibility that you can ease into it and build that market.
Yeah.
When did your retail store open? And
So,
how's it been going?
so we kind of started, we just have a small room off of our garage right now. And we did build it. We built a building, but then winter came. And so, it was supposed to be done in September, and then it got pushed and pushed.
Oh yeah.
So we're working out of just a small room off the side of our garage. And we do online sales so people can order, and then we have their order ready. We got a small business grant that funded. We got a clear front refrigerator, clear front freezer, clear top chest freezer.
Oh yeah.
They helped pay for our website, and we used Barn to Door for that. And they helped pay for the online sales platform that is Barn to Door, and just a lot of marketing materials to help us get started. So we're still implementing some of that, but that was definitely, I mean, we were going to do it either way. It was just going to be even slower than what we are
Oh
now.
yeah. That's a real
But it
benefit
was
for you.
Yeah, it was a boost to get us kind of a jump start and get marketing going, and as well as the actual fridges and freezers. They wouldn't pay for any building materials, so we had, that's part of why we were so slow on building. Is just you got to find the extra money
Right.
and time and to get it
Yes.
done. But sales, yeah, I don't think you want to start out like real crazy, right? And you can't handle it, so you got to
Right.
like start slow, learn. Definitely like 2026 is I got to learn marketing. I didn't get into farming to be a marketer, but I do enjoy what little bit I have done, and it's nice to interact with customers and get the feedback that
Oh yes.
you're doing something right when they're happy and they're coming back. And so that is definitely nice. And it gets lonely here sometimes. So
It,
have
Yeah.
customers come out and you can chat with them. It's pretty nice.
As- So my wife, we weren't married when I was dairying, so she doesn't know the dairy life. But I told her, the only people I would see sometimes is the milk truck driver and the AI semen salesman. And so yeah, getting some other people in there would be nice
Yeah,
at times.
yeah. I mean, we have the kids, which is great, and
Well, yeah, you got your family, but yeah,
yeah,
still having some outside there can be
yeah.
beneficial. Now, you also expanded into some other proteins. Now, obviously, when we're talking dairy, beef on dairy is a great way to produce some beef for sale. With the other species, did you start those with the thought of just having some for your household? Or did you have the long range plan of your retail store and that could be a product in there?
So originally the pigs, we got two pigs in 2018, I think. So it was just for ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
And then I was like, okay, and it was pastured pigs. And then it was like, well, next year we'll do four, a couple more, and we'll family, friends, we'll sell halves and wholes. And we did that for a while. The most we've ever sold halves and wholes, 10, I want to say.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not a lot. And then my oldest son, he's 14 now. He started showing pigs at the county fair, and then he started with market hogs. So he'd have them for a couple months, and then they'd sell at the fair. And then he got a gilt that he wanted to keep. He wanted to breed it, so we did that, and it was a train wreck when she was farrowing, and it's it's still a train wreck when they're farrowing. But he really enjoys the pigs,
Oh, yes.
and he doesn't really enjoy the cattle. So, and I really like the idea of getting them started, or helping them to get started if that's what they want to do. So, he kind of operates the pig business. We have 6 sows, a gilt, and a boar, and then, well, as of today, we have 14 piglets, 12
Oh,
piglets. If if they all survive, like I said, it's a train wreck, and it's the the episode you had a couple weeks ago really intrigued me with the gilt farrowing
oh,
uh,
yeah. Glenn's doing
procedure.
just north of you a ways.
Yeah, I got a hold of him to find out more information on that, because when I heard that episode, we had just gone through two farrowings, one out on pasture, and she laid on a lot of them, which
Oh, yeah.
January farrowing is not ideal, and that's our fault. Um, and then we had another one, and we don't have a building or stalls. Well, we said, well, we'll take our old livestock trailer and put her in there, and hopefully we can prevent, because the piglets want to, when they're out in pasture, they're burying down into the hay, and then mama lays on them, and
Oh,
so we
yeah.
said, we'll put her in the trailer, use sawdust as bedding. They're not trying to get down. We'll have a heat lamp, hopefully get them away from underneath her, and it didn't work. So right when that episode came out, we were struggling with farrowing, and I was like, we're either gonna have to build something with some good stalls for pigs, or we need to definitely get away. Eat whatever we do, we're getting away from January, February farrowing,
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's way too cold, and unless you have like a heated building, I don't think it works.
So for this last sow, did you farrow her in a trailer or out in a pasture?
So the one today, we have one in the trailer again, and we thought she was going to farrow first. Of course,
Yeah.
it went the other way.
I've been there. Yeah.
We did make some like makeshift stalls, and the one in the trailer, we put her in that stall, and she broke out. So,
Oh, okay.
well, okay, we'll keep her in the trailer, and she'll have hers first, and then we can move her out of the trailer. And no, of course, the one that's on pasture, she's the one that farrowed this morning. So, yeah, she had 10. Two of them were laid on by the time we
Oh, yeah.
got out there, and we figure, based solely off of what we feed, we have to have at least 8 piglets a year from each sow to break even, whether we grow them out or we sell them. In like last year, we only did 1 farrowing a year. I think we definitely have to increase that to 2 to try to make it work financially, because it's just not working. We really enjoyed, like in the past, before my son got interested in keeping sows, we it was really nice. We'd buy piglets in May, grow them out all through the grazing season, and then sell them.
Oh, yeah.
My son and I have talked about that too. Like maybe we just go back to that,
Oh, yeah.
because then we can satisfy our customer with the store, and we don't have to be out there all winter taking care of pigs, and we don't have to. There might be more financial opportunity if you could figure out the farrowing and have the systems in place and the buildings or whatever it's going to take. But maybe we just go back to buying piglets and doing it that way. A lot less stress. And
Oh, yeah.
we were making money then. I feel like we're definitely losing money now. Like I said, we have to have 8 piglets per sow to break even. It's kind of, and that's just to cover feed costs. So
Oh, yeah.
any extra cost over that, we need more.
Yeah. There's some real tension there. There's a lot of advantages of just bringing in feeder pigs if you're able to source them and grow them out. But I also get that urge to raise your own and farrow to finish, because I know anytime I talk about just buying some stockers or something of that aspect, I very quickly end up in the breeding market because I'm like, I just want to raise what I'm doing. So it's tough. I'm sure these setbacks have not been fun to deal with, but I'm also sure you're learning a lot going through this, and your son, with him involved in it's learning a lot as well.
Yeah. That's what we just say it's cost of education, right? So
There is a cost of education. Whether or not we want to admit it, there is. So, yeah.
yeah. And then, so that's the pigs, and then the chickens. We've had egg layers. We did 3 years ago. We had some meat birds just to try it for ourselves, but then so they were primarily because we were starting the farm store is why
Oh, yeah.
we got back. We did, and I offered that to my middle son. He was 10. He's 11 now. I said, "Is this something you're interested in?" Because, like I said, it just getting them started and getting them ownership in something. And I went to a Joel Salatin conference a couple of years ago, and that was really, if you want to get your kids interested in it, give them ownership in it, give them responsibilities.
Let them make some decisions, learn from them. Yeah.
So we ordered 100 layer chicks and 100 meat birds last spring. Again, a lot of education. We learned a lot. We lost quite a few birds. We ended up, the egg layers were, I think we had 70 or so. We sold maybe a dozen of them. He's got like 60 now. And the meat birds, we kind of ended up at that 60 mark when we took them to butcher as well. So it was tough. And like the first chick that died, we had a funeral, we buried it, and then unfortunately by the end, he was like, another one died. It was like a lot of it was them piling up in the corner.
Oh,
and it
yes.
was just
And
a
they'll
little
do
bit,
that, yeah.
little bit too cold. We put the egg layers, because we had the egg layers come 4 weeks before the meat birds, and we put them outside a little bit too early, cold night, and they just piled up. And same thing happened with the meat birds. In the brooder, they were piling on each other. So again, education, and we're going to make some changes this year. We kind of had just makeshift brooder last year that we made out of old IBC totes, and
Oh, yeah.
this year we're going to do a little bit more permanent wooden structure. And then as far as the selling them goes back to marketing, right? So I just need to be better at marketing. We have fed the pigs some eggs because we just have too much. They started laying in September, and so and we put artificial light in there. We were moving them. We made a egg mobile and with an old hay wagon frame, and then we built basically a chicken coop on wheels, and we moved them almost every day when we had grass. And then
Oh, yeah.
as winter came, we backed it into the shed and put net fencing around the outside so they were able to go outside, but they're primarily inside. And we put a light in the coop, and it's kept them laying really well. But our marketing hasn't been there, so like I said, the pigs got some eggs, and we always seem to have way too many eggs, but marketing. And then that's my theme for this year, is figuring that out, and it's going to help us all, right? And that,
Right. As you continue and you try different things and you market, you get people out there for more raw milk. Maybe they buy eggs. Maybe they come out there for the eggs, then they're buying raw milk. It takes some time and learning that and get it. And chickens are one of those species that you can overproduce eggs really easily. So yeah, it's a learning experience for your son as well as you all go through this.
yeah, and we'll probably do just some small local markets or pop-up vendor things, just
Oh
to
yeah.
get our name out there, and we'll probably
Yeah.
take, like I say, we can't take the milk, but we'll take meat and eggs, and sell a little bit, but also just to get our, hand out business cards and flyers. And because the raw milk, I mean, we have an overabundance of eggs now, but we don't have really, in the grand scheme of things, we're getting like 4 to 5 dozen a day. But the milk, like I said, we're selling one cow's worth, and we have nearly 50 cows. So that's where we can really expand
Oh yeah, you can.
sales. So we lead with the raw milk, and like I said, we have to get them out here to the farm to get that. The raw milk is where we really need to work on growing. But when they come to get the raw milk, oh, there's pork, there's beef, there's eggs, chicken.
Right, yeah.
They can grab a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And
And the important thing with that raw milk sales, you've got to do it on the farm, but they have to know you're there.
yeah,
So yeah, that's where getting out there, getting your name out there more will help.
yep.
You mentioned with the chickens, you're able to take them to a processor. So you have someone local that will process them for you?
Yeah, so this was kind of a one-time deal. They mostly do their own,
Oh,
but they
yeah.
do have the ability to do others. And it just happened to line up and we didn't line it up before we got the chicks, but it just worked out that at that exact time they were processing for other people. But there is a startup butcher maybe 45 minutes away that is doing processing. That's what we plan to use this year.
Oh, okay. Will you sell those as whole chickens or will you cut any up and sell pieces?
This year we did all whole. Like I said, we only ended up with like 60 birds. And we're almost out of them now, which is kind of nice that they're there as people want them.
Right.
I think it's the challenge of how many do you raise, right? And how much am I going to be a great marketer by by the end of the summer? So
Right.
we still have to sit down and figure out how many are we going to do this year, and we probably will part them out and get a little more value out of the pieces than you do the whole. And we've had people ask about breast and whatnot.
With your layers and your meat chickens as you're considering what to do this year, of course the layers are going. What breeds are you going with?
So the meat birds, we did Cornish cross.
Oh yeah.
When we raised some for ourselves. We did the like Freedom Rangers or Red Rangers. I think we're gonna stick with the Cornish cross. It's
They work out good for you.
Yeah, we did lose some there at the. I mean, our butcher date was mid-July, and we had a real hot day just before that. We did lose some just because they just get big. And
Yeah, when they get big and the weather gets hot, it's tough on them.
but yeah, we're gonna stick with those. I don't. It's hard for me because I'm not a big chicken like eating chicken isn't. It's not my preferred meal. So when we raised the Rangers, it was like, this, it's still not wonderful. The eating experience. It's not like it convinced me that it's so much better
Oh, yes.
that
Yeah.
way.
It's still chicken.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. With your layers, what breed did you go with them?
So that was we ended up with just white leghorns,
Oh, yes.
and it wasn't a choice. It was we started thinking in late January, February, like we should get egg layers. So we're gonna, we had this farm store plan, and we went online. I think we used Murray McMurray last year, and that's what they had available for when we wanted to get them started, and so that's how we ended up with them.
Yeah, I think last year was the year it was so tough to find
Hmm.
chicken. So going with the Leghorns or even
I
the
think
Cornish cross, there's more available of them than some of the more specialty breeds.
this
Yeah.
this year is
Or
definitely
heritage.
settled down some on that.
Yeah.
There's more
Yes.
availability. We're gonna get some Rhode Island Reds this year. I like the idea of just having something different so that we know, okay, the white ones they were 2025, the red ones they were 2026.
Yes, yeah. Dakota, it's almost time for our famous four. But before we transition to our famous four, do you have anything you'd like to add that I didn't ask you?
Maybe do you have any interest in talking about the collars?
Actually, I do. Virtual collars are very much in interest. People are wondering about them. You were able to use them for a couple months last year. How'd that go for you? How are you looking forward to this year with them?
It went amazing. I mean, there's learning curve, and mostly for me
Oh, yeah.
learning the program, the software. But all in all, it was wonderful. The labor savings of not going out and putting up polywire every day, and it was great. We had some issue, you know, it didn't seem like I have the Gallagher E Shepherds, and it didn't seem like they have there's not a lot of dairy farmers using them yet. We did have an issue. Cows come in the barn, and we have metal roof on half the barn, and
Oh, yeah.
the cows that stand in that half, it was throwing the signal off, and they were getting tones and shocked in the barn.
Oh,
So
no.
that was a real issue.
Yeah.
And one threw the signal like a mile and a half away, because you can go back in the program and it shows you where they were when
So it
they
showed them. Yeah.
yeah, and it was way up the road. So I was trying to work through that, and we made the area a lot bigger around the barn. So most of them were showing they were like at the neighbors across the road. So we
Oh,
just
yeah.
made it bigger, and we still have all of our perimeter fence and whatnot. So it wasn't a big deal. Made the perimeter bigger at the barn. Then you still get occasional. It's tough because you can make the area bigger on one side of the barn, but the other side is the laneway, and you don't want to. I mean, we still have a physical laneway, but we don't want to get it too much wider than what that is, and
Right.
I think that was the biggest challenge. And but like we had one day, I think the cell phone service was out, or I think it was data that wasn't working on the phone, so I couldn't use my phone to connect with the collars. So I came down the house to use the computer and the Wi-Fi, and then the power went out. So
Oh,
then
no.
I had nothing, and at that point, most of the collars were off, because there was a point in time where I was just shutting them off when they come to the barn, and then
Oh, yeah.
as I was letting them out of the barn, I turn them on. There's a little bit of a lag. Some of them will connect right away, and some of them take a half hour or more. At that time, I shut them off, so I had no way to turn them back on. Of course, we have laneways up to the pasture where we were going, so they went up there, and they just had full range of the pasture, which is only like 10 acres. Like I had a conference that day, and I went to that, and as I put it in, I set it up so that like every couple hours they would push them back, push that line back to where they were supposed to be. And so that was pretty sweet. I was basically able to, I mean, they moved themselves, but I moved the fence line to
Oh,
get
yeah.
back to where they needed to be.
Yeah. So
Um,
during an outage, and you may not have the answer to this, what do you do? Are you just stuck in that place till the outage is over?
yeah, so we had a couple times where the cell phone network that communicates with the collars was not working properly, and it just
Yeah.
kind of gets them. You can't move them. They're kind of
Oh, yeah. There
stuck in the paddock that they're in until it starts communicating again.
is there a way for you to use Bluetooth and communicate with them when the cellular connection's out, or does it have to come through cellular?
That has to be cellular. That would I've seen some of the other brands now that are like you only have to connect with one and then it connects with each other.
I
I
I
think
have seen that. Yeah.
that would be a good update to these because like I said, and you might have like we had a situation where my perimeter that I put in the program was not exactly match where the actual perimeter was in the laneway. And so the cows couldn't get back to the barn. I went up to push them down to the barn and they just couldn't get back because there was perimeter fence there, but the digital line was not in the right spot. So I got on my phone and I shut them off. Well, some of them shut off, like I said, quick, and those
Oh, yeah.
cows start to go. And some of the cows, when those cows are going, they're like, I want to go too.
Right. Yeah.
So, and they were just pushing through the tones and they'd get shocked and it stops them. And then you get it 3 times and then it stops. It just lets them go. But when it's, my mistake that of where I placed that perimeter, that's tough to handle because it's like here they feel that shock and
Oh,
you can
yeah.
see them, they just stop in their tracks and it's like you're mad at yourself for making that mistake because now you're getting your cow, you're stressing them out. It's
Oh, yeah.
that one was tough and some of the cows are like, I'm not going. I hear that tone and I'm not going any further.
Right. Yeah. I know there's always hiccups when you're using new, especially newer technology like the virtual colors. Overall, are you glad you went with them?
Yeah, yeah, I'm excited to use them all this year and they like I feel like Gallagher is very receptive to inputs and you let them know, hey, this is going on, and they they try to either help me through it or be like, okay, we're going to take that into consideration for the future and figuring out changes that they can make. And they're already, as soon as I got them, they're like, we're working on this, and this, and they've made changes within the software that doesn't require any new hardware. It's just them making small changes that make it easier.
Yeah, as a technology, I just see it's going to grow and mature, improve rapidly over the next few years with the number of market players in place and then the adoption. And it seems like everyone I've talked to, there's some hiccups, but overall, they really like them and they like that they wouldn't go back to not using them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I only went with Gallagher because that was who was selling in New York. That
Oh, okay. Yeah.
at the time that was the only option that I could find that was actually would sell them to me. So, and I've been, looking at this technology for years since I've probably at least 10 years. I've been hearing about it and so I've been waiting and I was excited to get started. So,
Oh, yeah.
and there's a lot of good, there's pros and cons to every one of them, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it wasn't an option for me. I said, well, these ones are available and I'm ready to buy. I'm
You're
ready to
ready
get.
to go. Yes. Yeah. Dakota, that's really interesting with the virtual collars. That's something that I see us using at some point in the future. It's a debate about that initial cost and it costs, but I just think they're going to be a really beneficial tool for a lot of grazers. It's time we transition to our famous four questions. Same four questions we ask of all of our guests. Our first question: what is your favorite grazing grass related book or resource?
I'm not much of a reader, so I'm going to say podcasts. I listen. I think I listen to like at least 8 hours of podcasts every day. Not all farming related, of course, but
Right. Yeah.
yeah, podcasts. Grazing
So,
grass.
yeah, tell us who you listen to.
So yeah, grazing grass.
Well, thank you.
What's a herd quitter called now?
Ranching Returns.
Yeah, ranching returns. I listen to that. Um, some like I like Farm for Profit. Just a
Oh,
more of a
okay.
fun show, and just to learn a little bit about the crop market and
Oh, yeah.
big equipment, stuff like that. Um,
You have any non farm podcasts you want to share that you listen to?
I listen to a lot of like motocross, supercross,
Oh, okay.
sports. Yeah,
Oh,
a
very good.
little bit of everything. Like I said, 8 hours a day. You gotta have a lot of variety, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah. My queue is usually full of episodes I'm listening to and wide variety. And if I get too many of the same topic, I'm like, whoa, that's too much. I want some
Hmm.
variety in there too. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of like nutrition and podcast called The Dad Edge that is I'm in a group called The Dad Edge, and it focuses on just being a better father,
Oh,
better
yes.
spouse, better so just kind of like a support group, online support group that I'm part of, and
Oh,
they do
yeah, very nice.
podcasts as well, and they pretty informative. And
Okay, now I'm going to ask you the really tough question. Are you using earbuds? What ones are your favorite?
nope, no earbuds,
Oh,
just
you
phone.
just listen to it playing out of your
Yeah,
phone.
yeah. The only when I'm on doing tractor work in the summer, I do have headphones. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what they are. They're big,
Oh, yeah.
earbud style, and they block out the noise and gives me something to listen to. That we Well, I just bought a cab tractor, so that's my first cabs
Oh,
tractor. We've
yes.
been on open station tractors, so
I struggle with my earbuds. There's one brand I like better than others, but I use a variety because I use earbuds quite often and it gets to bothering me, so I change them up once in a while and I'm still not super happy with what I'm using, so I was curious on that.
yeah,
Our,
yeah. Usually have it in my pants pockets loud enough. In the
oh
winter,
yeah.
I usually wear a vest that has a pocket right here, so I just put it in there, and it's even
Oh.
louder, so I can hear it
Oh
better.
yeah. Our second question, what is your favorite tool for the farm?
I'm gonna say the collars. Like I was
Oh
really
yeah.
impressed. I know we only used them a couple months, but just really impressed with we were able to the way it was able to change our grazing and um, keep the cows in real tight for shorter periods of time. I was very impressed with them.
And we kind of focused on some hiccups that you had with the collars, but yeah, that's impressive. That's your favorite tool, and that'll be really exciting this coming year. How it goes for you? You've got some experience with it. They have experience with it, and the technology is just improving.
Yeah.
Our third question, Dakota: what would you tell someone just getting started?
Try to stay positive. It's easy to go down the negative route, and
It is.
I've been there many, many times, and I still go there. But something I've been thinking about recently was like where I am at now. If like this was my goal 5, 7 years ago when I started, like But so much of what I'm doing was like, man, I don't know if I'm ever going to get there. And now it just seems it's the norm. It's, normal. It's where I'm at. But there was a time when I was dreaming of some of this stuff. So stay positive and also celebrate the wins.
Excellent points there. Staying positive is so important. Your outlook and way you're going. You're going to have those negative days, but if you can stay positive, it really helps. But the other thing you mentioned there, where you are now, don't forget where you came from. So often we're looking forward and we're trying to get to that next point, but don't forget you're somewhere. The past you is pretty happy you're there and may not have thought you'd get there. So yeah. And the other thing that I want to bring up, having a support group sounds like the Dad's Edge. You have that group. Having some kind of group really helps you as you go through this and
Yeah.
have those down days.
Like we talk about, like you can get lonely out here by yourself. So
You can, yeah.
and just to hear people tell you you're doing a good job is makes it easier to be positive, right?
Right.
Sometimes you don't believe them, but
Right. And you're not alone in this. Other people are going through the same thing. Yeah. Lastly, where can others find out more about you?
I just do Facebook. So Dakota Finch on Facebook, or our farm page is Finch Family Farm. We have a website, finchfamilyfarmny.com.
Well, very good. We will put those links in the show notes. Dakota, I appreciate you coming on and sharing with us today.
Yes, thank you.
As I edited and thought about this episode, I had lots of different ideas for this end part. But right when we get towards the end, Dakota says something profound. A younger you was dreaming of this. And I think that perspective is so important. As we go through these struggles, these questions, are we doing what we should be doing? Is this the right way? Is this the right way? Adding species, running through headaches, that educational portion. But remember to be positive, and one thing that can help you, remember a younger you dreamed of what you're doing today. And I think that's the biggest takeaway today. So I would like, for my question for the community, what did the younger you dream of that you're doing today? I will put a post in the Grazing Grass community asking you to share that. I'll share mine. For next week's episode, we kind of continue this theme. We have Justin on, and he's sharing about custom grazing beef cattle, as well as running hair sheep while he builds his farm. Thank you for listening to the Grazing Grass podcast, where the land is always teaching. You just have to pay attention. More grass, better soil, happier livestock. Keep on grazing, and I'll see you next episode.